Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining in. We are waiting for a couple of more minutes and for the other participants to join in, and then we'll start off with the session. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. If I may request everyone to just turn on their cameras so I could see you guys. Perfect. Hi, Miss Rashmi. Hello, Miss Radhika, Mr. Pranav, Miss Smita.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, it's high time. I think it's already one. We just have 40 minutes. I will start off with this session. Before that, I would just let you guys know that, as a part of digital citizenship, the session is being recorded. If anyone isn't comfortable with being recorded on screen, can keep their cameras off. And at the same time, I would request others to keep their cameras on because it makes it more lively and interactive. So I will be sharing my screen, and I'm sure that a lot of us here are PYP educators. So here we start. So you all are aware that my session is going to be about leveraging literacy, which is a PYP educator's guide to reading and writing. So my name is Miss Nalini, and I'm a PYP2 teacher and learner at Srinidhi International School. To start off with today's session, I would just like to mention here is there are times like us, we all of us as PYP educators, we get stuck at some point of time while dealing with our students. And that is wherein we reflect back on our practices and we recall our teaching and learning practices and how to tweak them. So this session is going to be all about that. I'm also going to share a presentation with you, the same presentation, and a document which will, wherein I have listed down different strategies which you can accommodate according to the age group of your classes. So to start off with today's session, this is our agenda, our introduction, which we are already done with. We are going to unveil some secrets of PYP literacy, and which is more than just concepts. It's beyond concepts. We are going to look at some teaching strategies and also examples of their practical applications. We will have question and answer round. I cannot promise you that all your questions will be answered, but definitely we can make it a collaborative question and answer round and engage in a dynamic discussion. Lastly, it's closing, feedback and feed forward. It matters a lot. So let's start with our journey on literacy. We are going to start with understanding, cultivating reading success. Let's start with reading. We all know that reading and writing are interlinked. No matter what, they all go hand in hand. Today, we are going to start off with cultivating reading success, embracing reading journeys across the grade levels. So, to start off with, we should first understand that each child progresses uniquely. That's what inclusion is all about. And most of our schools emphasize on this, inclusion. So each child progresses uniquely in reading skills. When I talk about this, it could be that Abigail of my class At the beginning of the academic year, she could only say cat and read the word cat. But then, as we move forward, maybe around midterm or by the end of first term, she's able to say cat without splitting it. So, with this is wherein IBPYP emphasis we talk about. We focus on the growth mindset. We celebrate their ongoing journey rather than fixating on current abilities. Maybe the beginning of the year she was saying cat, but now she's saying cat. So here, our role as educators is we are providing individualized support. Most of you are doing that, and that's what job alikes are all about. We tailor interventions and activities which suit their learning styles, which suit their readiness whenever they are ready. Talking further, when we are discussing about writing fluency, it's the same as reading. There are different developmental stages in terms of writing. First, as educators, we need to understand that writing fluency evolves differently for each student. I might write just a word, whereas my friend is already done framing a complete sentence. So that's okay as long as my teacher is supportive and she just encourages me, in terms of my writing. And here also we talk about the role of IB mission in action. We prioritize fostering creativity. Let the child be creative. It's okay if the child takes extra time. Expression, most of the children, they are good at verbal expression, but not writing, and a love for writing. So, what you can do in these situations wherein a child is exceptionally good in verbal expressions and not writing, we're going to be discussing this in the further slides. Now, us as teachers, what our role is to be like, we have to give constructive feedback and feed forward to the child. And most of the children, they are at times not able to read the feedback given by the teacher and feed forward given by the teacher, but we have to make sure we sit together with them and read it out to them so they understand. Going ahead, we are going to first dispel the myth of standalone. There are times when I have seen a couple of educators, like, saying that, oh, I'm doing adjectives, I'm doing adverbs. No, it's we have to dispel the myth of standalone. There's a very common criticism that reading and writing is, it's not transdisciplinary. But then let's break this myth. Units are not to be taught in isolation. There is nothing as stand alone in literacy, in PYP literacy. It's all skill based. Students apply their skills throughout the curricula. Now, for example, these text types that we have, that we deal with, they align with subjects and transdisciplinary themes. It's okay if you're not able to align something with your unit of inquiry. You can always align it with music, art, or science investigations, and so on. Moving ahead, there are rich conceptual links that we can build, which is just beyond subjects. So when I talk about rich connections, it could be like, these languages, they are just not about reading and writing practices. They extend beyond. For example, when I'm reading, I target the audience. So I have to look at audience in reading, writing, music, art, pattern in poetry. So sometimes we say that, I only see it in English. It's not just English, it can go beyond, beyond the fields. Like you might have writing, you might have music, you might have poetry, you might have gymnastics, mathematics as well. So writing can, it can just you extend to anywhere possible, not necessarily building a transdisciplinary connection with our unit of inquiry. But as when I talk about transdisciplinary learning impact, here this is a very crucial point of us as PYP educators. We have to design for optimal learning progression. Now, here when we talk about differentiation, inclusion, we all, I'm sure that most of us, we make our lesson plans, we curate our lesson plans, which are designed for an overall learning of the child. We do not focus, okay, I have picked this strand, okay, this is my scope and sequence, I have picked this learning outcome, come what may, I have to finish it. But we make sure that we adjust our planning, we adjust our learning outcomes, our success criteria based on the progression of the child. We focus on student learning. We emphasize on this crucial point that progression has to happen in student learning. It could be something very basic according to us, but that could be a major achievement for the child. Now, this is very important evaluation first. This is a very, this has been a helping guide for me. So, in the beginning of the academic year, when I have the children enrolled in my class, I make sure that I evaluate their learning. Okay, this is basically what the child knows already. So if you do this in the very beginning of the year, maybe in the first 2 weeks of your academic year, this is going to help you. There are a number of websites that provide us benchmark passages. Like we have Kids A to Z, we also call it as Learning A to Z. Here, what happens is you have benchmark passages. You assign a passage to a child, let the child read it and understand. So you will have an idea where the child stands and how much you need to intervene. So the very first step, the beginning of the academic year, we all should ensure is the part of evaluation first. We evaluate student learning before investing extensively on transdisciplinary approaches. I might just, for suppose I have a Nathan, I have a student example, I'm just taking a random name, Nathan. Nathan might only read sight words. So there is no point in me investing extensively on transdisciplinary approach. So I can plan my lessons for Nathan accordingly. Okay, so evaluation plays a major role in student learning. So always remember that the very first 2 weeks when you have with your students in your beginning of the academic year, that is wherein we can do evaluation and get to know where the student stands and make plans accordingly. Okay, so here we are going to right now focus on some dynamic practices for PYP literacy success. Um, it is something that I'm going to share a document with you guys. Maybe I can post this in the chat box. So the document speaks about different practices that we can use, different strategies that we can use. So I'm sure we all have access to the chat. So I'm going to quickly upload a document. It would be great if the teachers keep their cameras on because I really like interacting with people and getting to know them better. Yeah. So there is a document in the chat box. We all can open it together and go through. So this document speaks about leveraging literacy. It's all our guide. Therein you will find a lot of strategies which can be focused upon while we are taking our literacy classes. We will start off with reading strategies. We have interactive read alouds, we have book clubs, we have reading buddies, we have author study, we have reading forts. Something as reading buddies really helps when it is about PYP1 or PYP2. Student, suppose what happens in this reading buddies is during reading buddy time, you can pair up a child from PYP2 and PYP5. They sit together and they read. Could be a picture book full of illustrations. Then they end up drawing a colorful poster illustrating their favorite part. So these strategies that we are looking at in this document is just to foster a love for reading and writing. You cannot it's a common understanding that you cannot make me do anything that I don't love to do. And so first our job as educators could be like we have to foster a love for reading. So these are some practically implemented strategies. It's You all can try it. So what I would like to request you all as of now is kindly take 2 minutes to go through these strategies, and then we shall open up the stage for discussion. If you scroll down, you will also see writing strategies, which is journaling, absolutely suitable for PYP 4 and PYP 5. We have creative writing prompts. This could, you can just tailor it according to your grade levels. Collaborative storytelling, genre exploration, author visits or virtual chats, superhero writing day, time travel journal. So kindly take 2 minutes of your precious time and go through the strategies. We shall open up the discussion further once the 2 minutes are done. So it's 13:14 now. We will start off the discussion at 13:16. Thank you, Miss Alna. Okay. Glad to see a lot of you here. I mean, if you can just keep your cameras on. I mean, if you're not comfortable, if that's absolutely okay. But for those who are comfortable, it would be great if you keep your cameras on. I would love to see your pretty faces. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Aditi. All right. Let's start our discussion. So my question here is, like most of the strategies we are already implementing in our classrooms, but what's the main challenge that we have, like, while dealing with our students, maybe beginning of the academic year, mid academic year, or end of the academic year? What's that one challenge that we face? It would be great if one of you could just mention so we can continue with that discussion.
They don't want to write.
No, they don't want to write. Okay, perfect. That's mine as well. I completely echo with you. Anybody else? I
Yeah,
heard
after a long vacation, when they come back for the classes, they forget all the things that they learned, and it is very challenging for us to start from the scratch. So I felt it is very challenging for
I
them to.
completely agree. I completely agree. So answering to these two challenges first, what Miss Aditi said, they don't want to write. There could be a lot of reasons why the child is not willing to write. Maybe because maybe the child is more into typing, or maybe the child is more into drawing. So to address this, the best thing that we can do is, when your child comes to the classroom, the very first week when we just have these play games, and talking about learner profiles, that's wherein you can just make them do something, a very simple task, that is how best I learn, how best I show my learning. So you can give a number of options under how best I learn. I learn through videos, through stories, through pictures, and the child can just color what the child learns, how best I learn, and how best I show my learning. Maybe there also you can list down different options for the child, and the child colors. This you can place it in your classroom, and you will get to know that, okay, if the child is not writing, maybe you can go back and look at that board wherein you have placed the child's work, and you can see, oh, he's not writing, maybe because he's more interested in drawing. So that is wherein you can just tailor your lessons accordingly and bring them to write, if not complete sentences and complete paragraphs, but at least a word, wherein you also give him the liberty to maybe draw or doodle something. So this is a very wonderful practice which I have learned from one of my colleagues, is like how best I learn, and how best I learning has helped me a lot. Now when I plan my lessons, I plan it accordingly. I know this child will not show his learning unless and until there is a video. So that is wherein to just pull him or to drive him to learning that particular concept, I can always try playing a video. So I think this will help you when if you just start doing it in the very beginning, so you can plan your lessons accordingly. And to answer another question, when they come back after a long break, that's us as teachers also, we don't feel like working after a long break. But when it comes to children, when they come back to school after a long break, uh, we will not start off immediately with reading and writing, but reduce our pace, go slow. Always less is more. I think all of us should know this, that start off with very less, that itself is more. So less is more. Keep this concept very clear and slowly start your lessons. Slowly start increasing your duration for each lesson. Maybe that will help. So kindly go through all the strategies, after which we have a video. We're going to be watching a video, which is a very common problem. Before just enrolling myself to facilitate for this session, I had a survey wherein there are teachers who are facing problem with learning, when children have dyslexia. That's wherein it poses a major challenge for us to deal with children with dyslexia. So after this, we are going to be focusing on dyslexia and how to address that. Yes, Miss Apurva.
Children ask for nap time, like they're coming from EYP to PYP, the time duration is longer, so they are asking for the nap time. What to do in that situation?
Yes, mindfulness practices always help, Ms. Apurva. So instead of nap time, you can just start off with some mindfulness practices. There are different mindfulness practices which you can make them do. Some are sensory practices, or some are just, imagery, closing their eyes and imagining, or maybe just 5 minutes of nap time. You have a diverse range of mindfulness practices. I think PYP primarily focuses on mindfulness. It's like a key element for us. So what we can do is we can start off with mindfulness practices from PYP1 onwards, and that will definitely help you further. I understand, like, when they come from EYP to PYP, the transition is very Herculean for them and for you as a teacher as well. But mindfulness is of big help. I think you can have mindfulness for rescue. So start off with mindfulness practices, maybe mindfulness practices every day. That will also help us. Yeah. So we will have a look at a video now and try and understand, take away the key learning from the video. This is especially for dyslexia, for when we struggle with children who have dyslexia and other, difficulties when it comes to reading and writing. Let's all have a look at this video, and after which we will again share our reflections.
Brain is amazing, and nobody else has one quite like it. Although everybody's brain looks the same, they all work differently from each other. Just as we all have different colour skin, hair, and eyes, we all have a brain that's individual to us. Like a fingerprint, we have different personalities, tastes, strengths, and weaknesses. Our brains can even see and understand the world in different ways. One of those ways is called dyslexia, which affects how the brain handles information it sees and hears. Dyslexic people may find it difficult to match letters to sounds and to remember how to spell words. They may even see letters moving around when they're reading. They might have trouble telling left from right. Remembering lots of instructions can be especially hard. They may need more thinking time to remember the right word.
Chicken! No, wait. Duck!
as well as memorizing sequences. It may be difficult for them to hold a pencil and to write by hand. Even organizing themselves can be difficult. But everyone with dyslexia is different. It can affect how people feel about themselves. When they struggle with a task that other people find easy, they may feel frustrated, angry, or sad. Some dyslexic people try to hide their difficulties because they are worried about what others will think of them. However, thinking differently can be a really good thing. A person with dyslexia may be very good at seeing patterns and solving problems, imagining and rotating objects in their heads, telling stories and making people laugh, taking things apart, understanding how they work, and figuring out how to put them together again. Inventing, drawing, painting, and making things. Seeing the bigger picture. Dyslexic people can do a lot of things. They just might do them in a different way to how others would, and many of them have even become famous for it. There have been many famous dyslexic inventors, writers, scientists, business people, astronomers, paleontologists, actors, cooks, singers, artists, architects, and so on. Dyslexic people have changed the world. See dyslexia differently.
Thank you so much for being so patient. So we have to see dyslexia differently. When I started off with this session, I had clearly mentioned that uh, I am just able to read a word, whereas my friend is able to read a whole sentence. First of all, you have to be able to identify this dyslexia. It's not a disability. It's just a different style of learning. We often hear it as a disability, and I'm sure that one another challenge could be like where parents refuse to accept that the child has uh, dyslexia, and there as teachers we have to just try our best to convince it's not a disability, it's just a different style of learning. So when we come across children who face this problem, or it's absolutely okay. There are different ways to address this, and here what you can do is a very interesting strategy. As I told you, we can, to identify dyslexia, it could be like, my table is all messed up and I'm not able to write. I don't know how to write, when to start writing. So that's also dyslexia, because they have problem in organizing things. I'm not able to hold, this basically happens from EY to PYP. The transition, when it happens from EY to PYP, I'm not able to hold my pencil properly, right? And they find it very difficult to flip the page as well. I'm done writing in this page. What should I do next? It's a common understanding that they should turn their page and obviously go to another page, but that is also dyslexia. So there are a lot of things which we observe on a daily basis. And for us to address this, let me tell you, there are more than 1 crore cases per year in India, when we talk about dyslexia. So to address dyslexia, it's first of all, us as teachers, we should know the child's background from the previous grade levels. Suppose if he's moving from PYP1 to PYP2, so you will understand their struggles, their strengths, their growth areas, and that's how you can plan accordingly. So the children who struggle with reading and writing face a major problem, to adjust with the class or to stay at par with the class. So first of all, we have to make them feel included. And there are a number of websites that offer books based on the child's interest levels. We can definitely get into Epic and explore, get into Kids A to Z and explore. You will find, suppose if I'm a student in your class, I just love illustrations. You will get a number of books there which is full of illustrations. You will also find number of books there which, which are chapter books, so you can assign it accordingly to your children. So three primary things that we need to focus on addressing reading and writing is: first, know what your child likes, know their likes and dislikes. What are the learning styles? That is the first thing we do. How best I learn, how best I show my learning. That's the first thing we do. The second thing we do is our evaluation, which means you set a benchmark passage for them, evaluate them. If I'm giving E level for a child and if he's struggling with E level, I might just go down to D level and try. So that's wherein I'll get an understanding where the child stands. And the very last, but not the least, is identify dyslexia in your class. This will help. So these are the three key things we focus on before even starting our journey with reading and writing. So I can start off descriptive writing, narrative writing in my class, whereas I'm not aware where the child stands. So before we actually start getting into these things, it's always better to focus on these three key practices that we have, especially in two stages wherein the child is moving from EY to PYP, or when the child is right in their PYP2 or PYP3, because that's wherein a lot of molding you can do with the child, because grade 1 they're just adjusting themselves in PYP. That's grade 2 and grade 3 are these are the two stages when they're actually there with you, so you can mold accordingly. So if you focus on just these three things, I think you can do wonders with your students in your class. There are a lot more strategies, but then we have just 40 minutes of time in this session. I'm sure I have shared my email ID with you, and there's also my LinkedIn as well. So if at all you want to get connected with me, I'm going to share different strategies with you, which might be helpful to you in your classrooms. Uh, as we conclude now, we just have seen a video about dyslexia. Alongside this questions, it's all open now. Let's discuss, let's ask questions. I've already answered two questions though. We still have a lot of time to answer the questions. If anyone is up for questions, please go ahead.
Could you suggest any like websites or resources which I could use for dyslexia in my class?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I have your email ID and the participant's email ID. I will be emailing it to you.
I'm
There
asking
are-
for my son as well and my students as well. My son is dyslexic.
Perfect, perfect. That's absolutely okay. I mean, I will share the strategies and some websites with you.
Okay.
Sure. I'm just having a look at the questions. I want to know more about learning in visual arts. Okay, since this is all about Miss Manisha, since this is all about literacy, but definitely I can help you with visual arts as well. There are a lot of units which there are a lot of transdisciplinary themes which directly connect with visual arts. Could be how we express ourselves. There are a if you just have a look at the strategies that, performing arts, maybe the scope and sequence will help you. We will have another session shortly for visual arts. We will definitely connect with the facilitators who will help you best in terms of visual arts. But you can email it to me. Should you have any specific request, I will definitely connect with my network and get back to you. I hope I answered your question, Ms. Manisha. Um, yeah, that's true, Ms. Rashmi. I wish all understood about dyslexia. Alongside this, a very important practice that I would like to do now is I'm going to share a Padlet link with you. And in that Padlet link, we basically talk about one key takeaway from this session. And alongside that, we are also going to mention a feedback and feed forward. I'm open to feedback and feed forward both. Feedback will just motivate me, and feed forward will help me plan my future sessions accordingly. So I'm going to just put up a link in the chat box. Request you all to take your precious time and just filling the feedback and feed forward.
Ma'am, can I speak once?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm Manisha.
Yes, Miss Manisha.
Yeah, thank you for your guidance, which you helped me out. How can I connect you? Like, do I share my mail? I have shared my mail ID. Do you want me to share my number?
No, I think mail ID would work. Alongside that, I am posting a copy of today's presentation as well. So you will
Sure.
find my email ID there as well. So you
Sure.
can connect there as well, right? So I'm just posting my email ID too. Maybe that
Thank you
will.
so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, here we go. All right, please take your precious time. Can you share? Sure, Ms. Radhika, I will share it with you as well. Um, So there is a Padlet link in the chat box. Request you all to kindly fill in that. Just I know that it's, you have been writing report comments and all, so it's not something too lengthy. Maybe a sentence or even a few words will help. You can go ahead. And in the presentation copy, you will find my email ID, my LinkedIn link as well. So you can connect anytime I'm available.
Where do we find the presentation copy? Where do we
I have
find?
posted it in the chat box.
Can you repost it because I just came
Sure,
here?
sure. I will do that. So I'm posting a copy of the presentation and also the strategies document with you. I mean, if you have just joined now, there are a couple of reading and writing strategies that I have shared with our teachers. Maybe you can have a look at that as well.
But I'm really very sorry, ma'am. Manisha here, but I'm not getting your presentation copy in the chat box. I'm not finding it.
You will find it as IB Job Alike session.
Ma'am, there is nothing.
Is it the same for
I'm
every?
sitting in the chat box. Have you put
Yes,
something in the
yes.
chat box? I can't see.
It is
No,
there.
yeah,
If someone could just
Nothing,
mention.
not even Padlet link also not can't be seen. But
yeah,
nothing
we
can be seen.
can't see
Even your
anything.
presentation I can't see.
Okay. Just a minute. I'll reshare it. I'll reshare it with you. There might be a glitch. So first I'm posting the Padlet link. Is it visible?
Yes,
Yeah,
Padlet link I can
now
see.
it is there.
But I
And
can't write anything on Padlet because I have just joined, so I can't put any feedback. But it
okay.
should be.
All right. And here's a
Where
copy
will
of
I get the
it's
PPT
all in
and
the chat.
resources?
It's all in the chat box. Do you want me to post the link again?
Yeah, I can't see the post.
Oh, here is
I
the
can
Padlet.
only see the Padlet.
The other documents are there.
Then job alike I saw and leveraging. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Job Alike is a copy of my presentation, and leveraging literacy. It's a document wherein you have a number of strategies for reading and writing. You can tailor it according to your grade levels. We just left with 3 minutes. Before we end today's session, thank you all for joining me here today. We had to kind of rush a bit given the time duration we had, but we are shortly going to organize another session wherein we all can share our best teaching and learning practices. I think that's where we can get to learn each other, right? So do reach out to me, and I'm sure I will also connect shortly on LinkedIn with all of you. I'm sure most of you are on LinkedIn. I will connect shortly there as well. So thank you so much for spending your valuable time, 40 minutes of your valuable vacation time here. Let's connect sometime again soon. And do not forget to please